We have heard that, there's anything. He doesn't have detached retina. There's no damage to the eye. He's at home. He's recovering. So he should heal up soon, and we'll figure out when we can make the fight again.
The UFC and Dana White just dropped a massive bombshell about the Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane disaster at UFC 321. A championship fight that ended in chaos, a heavyweight champion who couldn't see. But here's where it gets controversial. Some UFC fighters are calling this eye poke fake. Why? Because hours after the fight, Aspinall was spotted having dinner with his family, eyes looking perfectly fine.
You know John Fury?
I know John Fury, yeah.
In fact, tell me if this is true or not. My cousin's a big MMA fan. And he went, ask him about John Fury, a parking ticket.
John used to buy and sell cars. I don't know if he still does. And he had this old Merc in it. It was a proper banger. It had like 200,000 miles on it.
Right.
I asked him if he wanted to buy it. And he said, yeah, I'll have it off you 250 quid. I was like, yep, cool, no problem. So he got it. And I didn't change the, what's it called, like the document. So it still said that I was the owner. Yeah, it still said that I was the owner, and he got a parking ticket or a speeding ticket or something, and I had to ask for the 50 quid off him.
You had to call up John Fury?
No, I spoke to him face to face, but I had about 5 attempts at it because he's such a big, scary guy. I was like, right, I'm going to ask him now. Right, John, do you? And then I was like, oh no, I'm going to have to ask him in a minute when there's no one around. To be fair, he just gave me the money. He said, yeah, no problem, of course, give me the money.
He'll make us heavyweights look like bad. This make me a little bit upset because this is my division is our profession. Like he make look like bad heavyweights, in our division, because like we are big guys, strong guys. And this guy poke you in the eye one time, they give you like 5 minutes to recover, and you pull out of the fight. It's like, he'll make us heavyweights look like bad.
Valter Walker didn't hold back. Tom made the heavyweights look bad. Because we are big guys, strong guys. This guy poked you in the eye one time. They gave you 5 minutes to recover, and you pulled out of the fight. He made us heavyweights look bad. What the hell is going on? Is this a legitimate injury or championship jitters? And here's the kicker. Years ago, Aspinall's own training partner Ante Delia pulled the exact same move after an eye poke, except his opponent kept fighting and won. Dana White has his own opinion on this mess, and trust me, you're not going to believe what he just said. Stay tuned, because this story gets even crazier.
And we saw it with Neil Magny and Jake Matthews in Perth. Mark Ratner joins us. Mark, what is going on right now?
It's an inadvertent eye poke.
Round 1 starts, and Gane comes out swinging. He bloodied Aspinall's nose early, looking sharp, looking dangerous. For the first time in Aspinall's career, he's facing real adversity in the octagon. Remember, this guy has finished 6 opponents in the first round. He's never been to a third round.
They've got to do something about these eye pokes. The rule is you got to have your hands like this, but you can still have your fingers out straight. You can't do that. You can do that. That's the stupidest rule I've ever seen in my life. Make a fist. Simple as that. You're throwing punches, and yeah, you got to parry shots, but you just got to unbend your fingers. It's really not that hard. This is a stupid rule.
5 minutes. That's how long Aspinall had to recover. 5 full minutes. But when the doctor checks on him, Aspinall says he still can't see clearly. The fight is waved off. No contest. The arena erupts in boos. Fans who paid hundreds of dollars to see a championship fight just watched it end in under 5 minutes. Now here's where Dana White drops the bombshell that has everyone talking. In an interview with Jim Rome, White was asked about the UFC 321 main event. His response? Devastating. When your main event is heating up and looks like it'll be a really good fight and it ends with an eye poke, that's brutal.
That was devastating.
Right?
When your main event, and it's heating up and it looks like it's going to be a really good fight, and then it ends with an eye poke, and that's how the fight ends. It's brutal. He's at home, he's recovering. And as soon as he's able to fight again, we'll book the rematch.
I was going to say, how long before he can fight again? And can we assume that you're going to run that back and book a rematch?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, we haven't heard that there's anything. He doesn't have detached retina. There's no damage to the eye, so he should heal up soon, and we'll figure out when we can make the fight again.
But then White said something that sent shockwaves through the MMA community. I can't make people fight. If I want to put together a fight, I can't make people fight. And you definitely can't make somebody continue if they feel they've been injured. Only Tom knows what happened. Could he see? Couldn't he see? Could he continue? Only Tom knows that.
I can't make people fight, right? If I want to put together a fight, I can't make people fight, and you definitely can't make somebody continue if they feel they've been injured. Only Tom knows what happened. Could he see? Couldn't he see? Could he continue? Only he knows that.
Read between the lines, folks. Dana White, the guy who backed Aspinall for the undisputed title, is now questioning whether the eye poke was as bad as Aspinall claimed. White even said Tom didn't want to continue after praising Gane for bloodying his nose early.
Drew, your thought process and what you're feeling right now.
Guys, I just poked knuckle deep in the eyeball. Why are you booing? What am I supposed to do about it? I didn't do poke. I can't see.
Tom, they should not be booing. I agree with you. You waited a long time for this moment. Talk to the disappointment of this being how it ends.
Listen, the fight was just getting going.
The criticism isn't just coming from Dana White. Fellow UFC fighters are tearing into Aspinall, and leading the charge is heavyweight contender Valter Walker. Walker, who just extended his insane 4-fight heel hook streak at UFC 321, didn't mince words. This makes me a little bit upset because this is our division. This is our profession. He makes the heavyweights look bad.
He'll make us heavyweights look like bad. This makes me a little bit upset because my division is our profession. Like he make look like bad heavyweights, in our division, because like we are big guys, strong guys. And this guy poke you in the eye one time, they give you like 5 minutes to recover, and you pull out of the fight. It's like, he'll make us heavyweights look like bad.
But here's what makes Walker's criticism so brutal. He fought on the same card with a broken fibula. That's right. Walker revealed he fractured his leg during his fight with Louis Sutherland but kept fighting until he secured the submission victory. Walker drew an analogy to Roman gladiators. Before, guys used to fight to death. And now, you don't need to fight to death. There's one guy to save your life. I broke my leg and felt something was wrong, but I kept fighting to the finish. But this guy has a poke in the eye and pulls out of the fight? He makes us heavyweights look bad.
First and foremost, it was a foul, and Ciryl Gane's the one to blame for it. But from the optics and the way that it looked, his eye was closed when he got poked in it. He was saying he couldn't see, and he wasn't even trying to open his eye to see if he could see. Obviously, I have no idea. I'm not there, but you see the pictures afterwards. His eye looks fine. I've seen a whole finger go in someone's eye, and they keep fighting, right? So I don't know. I mean, it's all speculation. You know what I mean? It's all speculation. But I feel like he might have taken the easier way out. It's a no contest. You got to come back. He gets paid $3 million. You know what I mean?
And Walker isn't alone. Former fighters Anthony Smith and Chael Sonnen, working the ESPN analyst desk, took their own shots at Aspinall. Sonnen said, being poked in the eye is illegal, but to fight with one eye is very common. You're the heavyweight champion of the world. You've got to fight with one eye at times. I thought the fight was turning out to be a little bit harder than perhaps Tom had expected.
Wanted to be interesting if Tom came out and said, no, I'm not going to rematch him. He's a cheater. Why would I rematch a guy that already cheated, that violated not one of my eyes, but both? I gave him his chance. He chose to cheat, and I'm going to move on. If Tom took that stance, which he's not going to do, I'm saying, but for fun, I think he'd have a lot of people that supported him. For some reason, Ciryl has come out of this thing with his hands clean. He's the one that did the poking.
Smith recalled his own eye poke against Ryan Spann. I just walked away and said, let's fight. You either want to or you don't. My fight wasn't for a world title. You never say, I can't see if you want to continue to fight.
Being poked in the eye is illegal, Brendan, but to fight with one eye is very common. The opponent's trying to hit your eye. He's trying to bust up and make your nose bleed. So that part of it does have question for guys like Anthony and I. We're trying to be polite. We're trying to show grace. But in all fairness, if you're the heavyweight champion of the world, you got to fight with one eye at times.
I'm not saying it's Tom's fault, and I'm not going to, pretend that I know how bad it is or isn't. I think Chael made a poetic point that you have to be used to or willing to fight with one eye. I did it in Singapore. You never say, I can't see if you want to continue to fight.
I feel as Tom's a great athlete, but I do feel like he's a one-trick pony.
When you look at people talking shit online, he's ducking this guy or he's dodging this guy, they haven't seen the work that you've done in the past and how dominant you've been. We know you're not ducking this guy. Talk to me about what you saw in his fight with Gane. Because Gane looked like he was controlling the fight.
With Ciryl Gane?
Yeah.
I believe that his wrestling and jiu-jitsu is incredibly overrated. He has a beautiful 1-2. I got to learn a lot about his patterns in his last fight. Beautiful 1-2. That's really about it. He couldn't touch Ciryl Gane at all. That's the way I felt. I felt like Gane was just getting warmed up. Gane's hands was down. He's shaking his shoulders, bouncing around.
He was touching him.
That jab.
He busted him open. I think Tom was looking for a way out, and he took it. He needs to change his game plan.
When Tom gets hurt, he's like immediately incapacitated.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he poked my eye, and then he's like immediately. There was no like
trying. He didn't try.
Trying. Same thing with Curtis Blaze. When he hurt his knee, there was no limping. There was no trying to get up. It was just like immediately.
Yep.
Burn my village. I can't go on. Immediately quit.
All right, so John Jones is back at it. He is calling Tom Aspinall overrated, calling him a quitter, saying that he is very, very simple. He's basic. The man's a quitter. Look at Ciryl Gane, right? He was just getting comfortable.
Tom's a great athlete, but I do feel like he's a one-trick pony. I believe that his wrestling and jiu-jitsu is incredibly overrated.
We all know why he's saying this. Obviously, UFC 321, Tom Aspinall got poked in the eye. We've been over this many, many times, so I won't repeat it. Incidentally, Ciryl Gane is back in the gym. He's training again. He's hitting the pads. He's working. So does that mean that we might have news of a rematch pretty soon between Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane? I, for one, certainly hope so.
A few moments later.
He's at home. He's recovering. And as soon as he's able to fight again, we'll book the
John Jones just dropped the most brutal bombshell on Tom Aspinall that may just end his career. The former two-division champion is not holding back anymore, folks. Jones just called Aspinall an average fighter who quit after one little eye poke.
Tom Aspinall's title fight against Ciryl Gane ended with a bit of a letdown after being ruled a no contest when Aspinall was unable to continue after what is certainly one of the worst-looking, not single, but double eye pokes I've seen in the sport.
The best part about fouling, right, is that it works. So the best thing you can do is keep your head in the game, and I'll do everything I can to manage it.
All that training for that? Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Trying to be okay, mate.
What is he doing?
The left one was really deep. The left one was really deep.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
You got one twice before it.
Yeah,
twice before he got one for it.
Mike Bisping, he lost his eye. It's just a horrendous thing to think as a parent, really. And I know what it's like these days with people saying what they want, but if it's just your son and they could lose an eye and their health and they've got children to look after.
And that's not even half of it. Jones is trolling Aspinall like never before. We're talking horses with eye patches, duck profile pictures, and some of the most savage takedowns we've ever seen in MMA trash talk history. All right, let's get straight into what John Jones just said, because this is brutal. On the No Scripts podcast, Jones didn't just criticize Tom Aspinall, he absolutely dismantled him. And I'm talking about career-threatening allegations here.
I feel as Tom's a great athlete, but I do feel like he's a one-trick pony.
Talk to me about what you saw in his fight with Gane, because Gane looked like he was controlling the fight.
With Ciryl Gane?
Yeah.
I believe that his wrestling and jiu-jitsu is incredibly overrated. He has a beautiful 1-2. I got to learn a lot about his patterns in his last fight. Beautiful 1-2. That's really about it. He couldn't touch Ciryl Gane at all. That's the way I felt. I felt like Gane was just getting warmed up. Gane's hands was down. He's shaking his shoulders, bouncing around.
He was touching him.
That jab.
He busted him open. I think Tom was looking for a way out, and he took it. He needs to change his game plan.
Jones's main claim, that Aspinall immediately quits when things get tough. Here's exactly what he said. When Tom gets hurt, he's immediately incapacitated. Immediately. It's like you poke my eye. There was no like trying to blink it out. I would have been the silliest looking cat on national TV trying to continue.
He couldn't touch Ciryl Gane at all. That's the way I felt. I felt like Gane was just getting warmed up. Gane's hands was down. He's shaking his shoulders, bouncing around.
He was touching him. He was touching him.
That jab,
He busted him open.
He was so comfortable.
I think Tom was looking for a way out, and he took it. He needs to change his game plan.
Man, Tom, when Tom gets hurt, it's like he's like immediately incapacitated. Immediately.
He shut down.
It's like you poke my eye, and then he's like immediately. There's no like.
He never tried to look. It was rag on the eye immediately.
Dude, I would have been the silliest looking cat on national TV, just
trying. He didn't try.
Trying.
He didn't try.
Same thing with Curtis Blaze. When he hurt his knee, there was no limping. There was no trying to get up. It was just like immediately.
Yep.
Burn my village. I can't go on. Like,
he doesn't have the dog in him. Yeah, that kill or be killed.
Immediately quits.
Yeah.
When he got tapped out with an ankle lock, there was no trying to fight his hands. There were no trying. He immediately quit.
But Jones didn't stop there. He brought up multiple examples to back up his claim. First, the Curtis Blades fight from 2022, where Aspinall tore his ACL just 15 seconds in. Jones said there was no limping, no trying to get up, just immediate surrender.
No, looking for Megan. It's paying off now. Massive shots. Hammer fist. Straight hand. As you said, he's waiting for the opportunity. It was the up kick came. And now Austin looking for the leg. Oh! Big heel hook attack from him. He's done it! Austin has done it! What a Austin has done it!
Then he went even further back to Aspinall's first professional loss in 2015 when he tapped to an ankle lock. Jones claimed there was no trying to fight the hands, no resistance, just an immediate tap. Jones's conclusion, he immediately quits. Immediately.
When Tom gets hurt, he's like immediately incapacitated. It's like you poke my eye, and then he's like immediately. There's no like
trying. He didn't try.
Trying. Same thing with Curtis Blaze. When he hurt his knee, there was no limping. There was no trying to get up. It was just like immediately.
Yep.
Burn my village. I can't go on. Immediately quit.
This is massive because Jones is essentially questioning Aspinall's heart, his toughness, his warrior spirit, everything that defines a champion in this sport. But Jones wasn't done destroying Aspinall's reputation. He then moved on to break down his actual fighting skills, and this might be even more devastating. Jones called Aspinall a one-trick pony and said his wrestling and jiu-jitsu are incredibly overrated.
What did you think of the last UFC main event?
I think it's two quick guys. I think it's two guys that are really great. Tom Aspinall is a fast fighter. He's got a good 1-2. He's got a good 3-2, as you could tell. Just didn't really mix it up against Ciryl. When I watched Ciryl against John, John went out there and put pressure on him, made him get on his heels. I think there's a lot of pop in Ciryl Gane's step, and I think he was confident going into this match. And he looked great. He looked great. The jab was flowing.
I think Ciryl Gane definitely won that round.
It was a fight. Tom looked like he was fading real early in.
The spins, I didn't like those spins.
A lot of people talk about Tom Aspinall like, oh, John Jones is afraid of this guy. And I'll tell you right now, man, I don't think John Jones is afraid of anybody.
Did you see how he changed his picture? The duck with
the
patch?
Yeah, with the eye patch.
He put it over the
He's
left
the
eye.
best troll. He's the best troll, man, I swear.
It's fun to be close to someone that has that power to do so. But cool main event. The way it ended, sad. But shit happens. What can you say? I mean, you would hope for the big punch. You would hope for the decision. But man, eye poke may be the next best thing for Tom. I'm not sure.
Let that sink in for a second. The greatest fighter of all time just said the current heavyweight champion's grappling skills are overrated. Here's Jones's technical breakdown of what he saw against Ciryl Gane. He has a beautiful 1-2 combination. I got to learn a lot about his patterns in his last fight. That's really about it. That's the one thing that he's setting up real nice.
I feel as Tom's a great athlete, but I do feel like he's a one-trick pony. I believe that his wrestling and jiu-jitsu is incredibly overrated. He has a beautiful 1-2, and then I got to learn a lot about his patterns in his last fight. Beautiful 1-2. That's really about it. That's the one thing that he's setting up real nice. He couldn't touch Ciryl Gane at all. That's the way I felt. I felt like Gane was just getting warmed up. Gane's hands was down. He was shaking his shoulders, bouncing around.
He was touching him. He was touching him.
That jab, too, was money.
He busted him open.
So according to Jones, Aspinall's entire game is just one combination. That's it. Jones went on to say that Aspinall couldn't touch Ciryl Gane at all, and that Gane was just getting warmed up before the eye poke ended things. Now, here's the thing. The statistics actually showed Gane slightly outstriking Aspinall 30-27 before the stoppage. Gane also stuffed Aspinall's only takedown attempt, so Jones might have a point here.
I feel as Tom's a great athlete, but I do feel like he's a one-trick pony.
Talk to me about what you saw in his fight with Gane. I mean, because Gane looked like he was controlling the fight.
When Ciryl Gane?
Yeah.
I believe that his wrestling and jiu-jitsu is incredibly overrated. He has a beautiful 1-2. I got to learn a lot about his patterns in his last fight. Beautiful 1-2. that's really about it. He couldn't touch Ciryl Gane at all. That's the way I felt. I felt like Gane was just getting warmed up. Gane's hands was down. He was shaking his shoulders, bouncing around.
He was touching him.
That jab
He busted him open. I think Tom was looking for a way out, and he took it. He needs to change his game plan.
This is a complete dismissal of Aspinall as a well-rounded fighter. Jones is basically saying, you've got one good combo, average grappling, and no heart. Brutal. Now, if those statements weren't savage enough, let's talk about how Jones has been trolling Aspinall in the most hilarious and disrespectful ways possible. First, after the UFC 321 eye poke incident, Jones changed his Twitter profile picture to a duck wearing an eye patch. The duck reference is particularly cutting because Jones has been called a duck for allegedly avoiding the Aspinall fight. So he's turning it right back around on Tom. But it gets better, or worse, depending on whose side you're on.
John rides into this event on a white horse. The white horse has an eye patch. I'm actually rather proud of John Jones. This was awesome. So John is taking this shot at Aspinall. It would seem as though he wants to fight Aspinall. The reason that is so poetically beautiful is John is working towards getting a fight with Aspinall, the very guy who they've been trying to get him to fight all along. I thought the direction that we were going was John Jones versus Alex Pereira. And then I saw John Jones ride a white horse into an event with an eye patch. It would be an interesting question to ask Tom. Hey Tom, would you rather fight Ciryl Gane in a rematch, or would you rather fight John Jones, who appears to be ready and wanting that fight?
Does Tom want to go into the boxing world and maybe fight a Tyson Fury, maybe fight a Deontay Wilder?
I don't know if he does, but I think if you get into that top percentage of the sport, the UFC do not pay anywhere near as much as the boxing does. And I know, being around Tom every day, that when he spars good boxers, he spars good. So I think he'd do really well against a real high-class boxer.
With Zuffa Boxing under Dana White's leadership, do you think there could be an eventual crossover where you get a massive super fight that could be on a Netflix?
It doesn't depend on me, that depends on Dana White, but I think Tom has the ability, because I've seen him box at the highest level against some real good guys, that he could be at that level.
Tom Aspinall and his father, Andy Aspinall, have just dropped a massive bombshell message to Dana White. The Aspinall family is seriously considering leaving the UFC for boxing after a devastating eye poke incident at UFC 321 left Tom potentially blind in one eye. And Dana White has responded on Twitter.
Only Tom knows what happened. Could he see? Couldn't he see? Could he continue? I can't make people fight if they feel they've been injured. After the Jones fight, a lot of people wrote Ciryl Gane off. He looked damn good tonight. I mean, he had Tom bloodied up, and Tom didn't want to continue in the fight. The rematch is very interesting.
Tom Aspinall, the UFC heavyweight champion, suffered repeated eye pokes from Ciryl Gane that have left him unable to see. His father is furious. The family is talking about boxing, and the entire MMA world is asking, is this the moment that changes everything? Stay with us as we break down the biggest controversy in UFC right now. Let's get straight to what everyone's talking about. The Aspinall family is seriously considering leaving the UFC for boxing. In an exclusive interview, Andy Aspinall, Tom's father and head coach, didn't hold back when addressing the repeated questions about Tom potentially switching to boxing, and his answer was shocking. Andy stated, "People who are around me all the time know that boxers are around me all the time. It's just because of the money. If your son was a fighter, would you want him to fight for a ton of money or not a ton of money? It's a no-brainer."
People who are around me all the time know that. Boxers are around me all the time. It's just because of the money. And it's the back to, if your son was a fighter, would you sooner fight for a ton of money or not a ton of money? It's a no-brainer, but people still have.
But here's what makes this different. This isn't just about money. This is about safety and respect. Andy is saying that boxing offers both significantly more money and significantly more safety. Because you can't extend your fingers in boxing gloves. You can't poke someone in the eye 5 times in one round. And here's the stat that will blow your mind. Do you know how many fighters have been disqualified for eye pokes in UFC history? 0. Not a single one. Never happened. Eye pokes are essentially a free foul in the UFC. Andy Aspinall put it bluntly. The guy who fouled him, no consequence to him. And now there's a consequence to Tom, and hopefully it'll be all right. But it might not be.
The guy who fouled him, no consequence to him. And now there's a consequence to Tom. And hopefully it'll be all right, but it might not be.
Think about that. Tom Aspinall could lose his vision permanently, and Ciryl Gane faces zero punishment. No points deducted, no disqualification, nothing. So how has UFC President Dana White responded to this bombshell? According to Andy Aspinall's interview, Dana White addressed the eye poke situation by asking, "What does it take to make an eye poke intentional? And is there even a way you could ever prove that?" But here's where it gets heated. Andy revealed that Dana's response was essentially, he doesn't give a fuck about determining whether eye pokes are intentional.
What does it take to make an eye poke intentional, and is there even a way you could ever prove that?
Who the knows? Who gives a
Now, Dana White has since taken to Twitter to address the controversy and clarify the UFC's stance on fighter safety. But the damage appears to be done. The Aspinall family feels abandoned by the organization they've dedicated years to. Andy's response to all the commentary and Dana's position, quote, "Who the funcha knows? Who gives a fuchets? My thing is, I go to the gym every day for 2 or 3 hours in the morning and coach fighters. The other stuff around it is just noise."
And then I teach jiu-jitsu at night, and I love the sport. And then I go to the fights with Tom, and the process is great, and he has a fight, and that's the sport, and that's how he gets paid, and that's his job. And then after the fight, it goes down a bit, we have a few weeks off, and then we're back in the gym again and doing the same again, and I like that. And that's my thing that I've done with my son since he was 7 or 8 years old, and I enjoy it. The other stuff around it is just noise.
But this isn't just noise. This is about Tom's career. This is about his eyesight. This is about whether he can see his 3 kids grow up. Now let's break down what actually happened at UFC 321 that's caused this massive controversy. October 25th, 2025. UFC 321 in Abu Dhabi. Tom Aspinall was making his first defense of the undisputed UFC heavyweight title against Ciryl Gane. This was a fight 15 months in the making after Jon Jones retired, and Tom was elevated to undisputed champion.
Ciryl Gane in black. Tom Aspinall. Moving into Aspinall. Oh, nice connect. Aspinall goes hot.
And Ciryl Gane was ranked higher than Tom.
Quick jab from Gane.
Don't love the spinning.
Leaky here early.
Is he prepared? The world.
Look like an eye poke there as Gane.
But the fight turned into a nightmare. According to video analysis that Andy Aspinall shared, there were 5 separate eye pokes in the first round alone. Video breakdown showed 10 extended fingers and 4 direct eye pokes total from Ciryl Gane. Tom was repeatedly telling his corner, "I can't see. I can't see." And here's what makes this even more disturbing. This wasn't just the first round. Andy revealed that Ciryl had already poked Tom in the eye earlier in the fight when Tom went for a takedown.
Guys, I just got fucking poked knuckle deep in the eyeball. Why are you booing? I can't see. This is bullshit. The fight was just getting going. Complete bullshit. I'm pissed off.
Andy Aspinall reviewed the footage with doctors and described the pattern. Every time his hand comes out, it does this, with extended fingers pointed forward. You should never punch like this. When your hand goes out to hit somebody, your hand should never go out like this. The fight was eventually ruled a no contest because Tom literally couldn't continue. He couldn't see. And as Andy powerfully stated, if you can't see, you can't fight. If you can't see, you're going to get hurt.
It was really bad how it looks. And he said, you can't train your eyeball to be stronger. It is what it is. You've protection here and here, but he obviously got no protection because the fingers were straight in. The fight should have been stopped. He couldn't see. It was a foul. He couldn't see. Then you can't fight. You know, if he'd have got knocked out with a head kick next, then it would have been worse. I don't know. And then he said, sometimes when your eyes here like that, it can become displaced and stay there. And they did a few tests on that, and they said it doesn't seem like that. And his vision on the eye that's the best eye, his eye wasn't following properly, so the muscles weren't working strong enough to go this way. This one just wasn't working that good at all. So we've got to have additional tests further this week, and Moyes is sorting the tests out for us, and he's got to have a CT scan.
The medical situation is absolutely terrifying, and this is where you understand why the Aspinall family is considering leaving the UFC. The doctors explained what happens during a direct eye poke. Your eye socket is round, your eyeball is round, And when fingers go straight in, the eyeball compresses like a ball being flattened on the floor. When it springs back, it can cause catastrophic internal damage. And here's the truly frightening part. The doctor told them he's seen people lose their eyes completely from pokes like this. Some people go permanently blind.
He already got one twice, at least once, for poking. Keep his fingers close, the ref said. And he's nearly put me in the eye before. Feels like the back of my eyeballs hurt.
Just sting you.
It's not even stinging now, it's painful. It's like, it feels like my eye, someone's touched the back of my eyeball.
Days after the fight, Tom still couldn't see out of his right eye. They're waiting to see if time will heal it, but there are no guarantees. Andy Aspinall, clearly emotional, said, "It's terrifying, really. Everything's about his health. It's not about fighting, but it's a bad consequence if you lose your sight, especially by a foul."
Terrifying, really, isn't it?
For me, everything's about his health. It's not about fighting. That's just what he chose to do as a job. And one of the consequences, you can get hurt. But it's a bad consequence if you lose your sight. And especially by a foul.
This incident has exposed a serious safety crisis in the UFC that's been ignored for years. Andy Aspinall is calling for major changes. He pointed out that the old Pride FC gloves were designed differently, making it much harder to extend fingers. But the UFC hasn't adopted these safety measures. Why? Andy suggests it might be about money and entertainment value. More open-fingered gloves allow for more varied techniques, which some believe makes fights more exciting and marketable. But Andy asked the question that should haunt the UFC. What will it take to change these rules? Will it take somebody's eye being poked out and falling on the floor? If they care about people, they should do something.
What will it take to change those rules? Will it take somebody's eye being poked and falling on the floor? I don't know if that's a thing. I'm sure it's not, but what does it take?
Ciryl Gane in black. Tom Aspinall.
Moving into Aspinall. Oh, nice.
Aspinall goes hot.
And Ciryl Gane was ranked higher than Tom.
Quick jab from Gane.
I don't love the spinning.
Leaky here early.
Is he scared? The wolf.
Look like an eye poke there as Gane. Down.
Ciryl, you were fighting a wonderful. Ciryl Adesanya and MMA pros drop a massive bombshell on Tom Aspinall ahead, 321 of Ciryl Gane's scary looks. They said we're wearing about Tom. Some of the biggest names in the UFC, including former champion Ciryl Adesanya, are sending you a serious message. They believe Ciryl Gane has what it takes to shock the world at UFC 321. This isn't just talk. These fighters are seeing something that could spell trouble for the interim heavyweight champion. Let's break down exactly what they're saying.
Anthony? No, I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed. I talked all day yesterday. Like, I just want to see Tom have to overcome some adversity. I want to see what he does when when his first plan of action doesn't work. What's he checked down to? Is he gonna wrestle? Can he compete with Ciryl Gane on his feet for 25 minutes? And I don't get any of those answers, and just like everybody at home, I'm disappointed.
Being poked in the eye is illegal, Brendan, but to fight with one eye is very common. The opponent's trying to hit your eye. He's trying to bust up and make your nose bleed. So that part of it does have question for guys like Anthony and I. We're trying to be polite. We're trying to show grace. But in all fairness, if you're the heavyweight champion of the world, you got to fight with one eye at times.
October 25th, 2025, Etihad Arena, Abu Dhabi. 13,220 fans packed in. Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane for the undisputed UFC heavyweight championship. This was Tom's moment, his first defense as the full champion after Jon Jones retired.
I'm seeing it all online. Tom quit, Tom quit, Tom quit. It got dicey out there for him and he quit. That's what the people are saying. Complete hogwash, complete nonsense. If you just watch it, you will see that those were two nasty, deep eye pokes. You could say that he lost that first round. I think he lost that first round. I think we all agree that he lost that first round.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you could. I mean, that is fair game. But to suggest that he quit, that he wanted a way out, that he looked for a way out because the going got tough is just something that I'm not going to subscribe to. You know Jon Jones is going to weigh in. This is the guy. This is the guy. For the record, John Jones was offered for the millionth time $30 million to fight this man, and he didn't. You can't claim after the fact, this is the guy, but you know he's going to spike the football. And there's a cruel irony involved in the fact that Tom doesn't fight John Jones, but still gets eye poked. But this is tough for him. This is the first time in his career where he's not going to be beloved by people, because people are going to accuse him of being a quitter, because they're going to say